Hello and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we will be taking a look at Ubuntu Linux commands cheat sheet for beginners. So in this video, we will look at a few commands and start to work our way through Linux just from the beginning to an intermediate level. So let's begin. We will begin by opening the terminal in Ubuntu Linux. So to do that, we press Command, Alt, and the letter T for Mac, or Control, Alt, and T for Windows. You open a Linux terminal, the first thing you notice is there's some information that automatically populates within the terminal. So let's take a look at what those mean. You notice at the beginning we have KLA. So this is the username. And then you have @ and then followed by the host name or the computer name. And then you have a separator. And then you have the tilde, which is a symbol for the home directory. And then you have a $sign. So the $sign represents the fact that the user that is logged in is a standard user. To confirm this information, first Linux command we'll look at will be hostname. So if you type hostname and press enter, it tells you the name of the computer. So this is the name of the computer. It matches the second part of the information that populates automatically in the terminal. The next command to look at is whoami. Press enter, and then tells you the name of the user that is logged in. So KLA is the name of the user that is logged in, and then the host name or the name of the computer is this, KLA-Ubuntu 01. The next information to take note of is when it comes to Linux commands, the commands are case sensitive. So if I type whoami, it will tell you command not found. Just a W or capital W at the beginning of this command changes the command. So this whoami with a capital W is completely different from whoami in all small letters. So it's one thing with Linux that you have to be attentive to is the use of capitalization. The next thing to note is in Linux, the commands follow a certain syntax. So we have command, and we have options, and we have arguments. We would take a look at a few examples of a command and a command with an option and a command with arguments momentarily, and that will help to better explain the syntax of a Linux command. Another thing to note with the Linux command has to do with the fact that you can use a command just by itself, or you can use a command with an option, or you can use a command with an argument, or you can use all three. That is, you can have a command followed by an option and followed by an argument. But on its own, you cannot use just an argument or just an option. With that being said, let us take a look at some other commands and how we can implement all of these different aspects of the Linux command syntax. This brings us to our next command, which is pwd. The pwd command is used to print your current working directory or print working directory. So this command tells you exactly where you are located within the file system hierarchy. So when you type pwd and press enter, it tells us that we are located in the home directory of this user KLA. Then the next command we will use is the ls command. The ls command is used to list the contents of your current working directory or your present working directory. So if we type ls and press enter, it automatically lists the content of the home directory of this user KLA. So typing the ls command and viewing the content of the home directory of this user, you would notice that all of the content, all of the words here are blue. So for now, we don't know what the color means, the blue color. Another thing to note is the ls command by default lists the content in alphabetical order. So you have D for you have DE desktop, documents, download, and it goes in that order: music, pictures, and so on, and it ends to videos. Another thing to note about Orlando's command is that Orlando's command is a piece of code, it's a piece of program that tells the computer what to do. So when we use a command with an option, the option alters the command, how the command should behave. An example to that would be the ls command with the option hyphen. So the hyphen L will create a long list of the output. So simply by employing -L or hyphen L to the ls command, it changes the output. So when we just use the ls command right here, it listed the content just by the names. But when we use the ls command with hyphen L, it gives us a long list of the names, still in alphabetical order, but then it gives us additional information that we will come look at in more details in future videos. But the takeaway from using the -L for now that I want you to just remember is when you look at the very first letter or very first character, I should say, from your left, you notice that every line has a D. It means that each of those words, that desktop, documents, downloads, they are all directory. So when the very first character is a D, it means that you're looking at a directory. So with that being said, now we know that with Ubuntu, when the names are blue, it's a directory. But to be very sure, it's just to use the ls -L, and then you just look at the first character, and once it's a D, it's a directory. So that is the ls command with an option -L. Then we have another option also that we can use with the ls command, which is the -arrow. So the -arrow simply reverses the order of the content. So instead of starting in alphabetical order, it changes it around. It starts from Z going up to A. So it starts from V and goes back to the desktop. Another thing is we can use several options. So we can use ls -L to do a long list of the content, and then we can use -arrow to reverse the list. So when we press enter, we will have a long list, and then it is in reverse order. So this is one way of typing this command, but a cleaner way or a much simpler way would just be to type ls -L arrow. Instead of doing -L -arrow, you can just type ls space -L arrow, will perform the same as the previous command. So when I press enter, it does the same thing. So you can use more than one options with the command, or you could separate them. But it's just easier to just use one hyphen and use multiple options after it. Our next command will be the cd command. The cd command is used to change directory. So if we type cd and press space and put ... and we press enter. So before we use the cd, let us type the pwd to know where we are located. So we are currently located in the KLA directory. This KLA directory is located in a directory called home, and home is located in the root directory. In Linux, the root directory is represented by the /, and the root directory is the top of the directory structure in Linux. It's similar to Windows, how we have C:/, which is the top of the Windows file system. The root directory is that equivalent in Linux, and is same across different flavors of Linux. So when we use the cd command space ... it takes us one level up. So it means that we will come out of the KLA directory to the home directory. So we'll press enter, and then you will even notice in the terminal you will have /home. So we are now in the /home. So if we type pwd and press enter, that confirms that we are now in /home. So if we type cd again, space ... and press enter, it brings us back to the root directory, which is represented right here with the /. We can confirm that by using pwd, and it tells us that we are in the root. So to list the content of the root, we'll just use the ls command to list the content. Now within the root directory, we notice that the names have different colors. So again, to be sure what each color represents, it's just a matter of using ls -l, and then it tells you. So now we have some that starts with D, which is for directory, as we mentioned previously. And for those that starts with L, it's a link. It's like a shortcut. And then we have one here that starts with a hyphen. So any name that starts with a hyphen, it means that it's a file. So this is a file. Swap file is a file. It's not a directory. Okay. That brings us to the next command. To go back to the user home directory, we type cd, which is change directory, and we'll press the tilde. We'll put in the tilde sign. So when we press cd space tilde and press enter, it takes us back to the user home directory, and you'll notice the sign, the symbol right here before the $sign. To confirm that we are in the user home directory, we type pwd and press enter. So we are back to the user home directory. If you notice that in the previous few commands, we did cd space ... and press enter, it took us one level up, and then we did another cd ... it took us another level up. Instead of doing that, if we want to come to the root directory, there are two ways we can go about it. The first way is to do cd space ... which should take us one level up, and then we'll put a slash, a /, and we'll put another ... which should take us a second level up. So when we press enter and we press pwd, we are straight into the root directory. So that's one way we can just go straight to the root. So we'll go back again to the user home directory, we'll confirm with pwd. Another way to go to the root would just be to do cd space root, which is a /, and when we press enter, it takes us straight back to the root directory. In order for us to go back to the user home directory, instead of using cd and the tilde command, or the tilde symbol, I should say, to go to the user home directory, we can do cd space /home/KLA, and we'll press enter, and we'll confirm pwd. It tells us we are back into the user home directory right down here. When we use cd and we use the root symbol followed by a path to a certain location, it could be a location to a file or a location to a directory. What this means is we have typed in the absolute path. So the absolute path is the step-by-step kind of direction to a particular location, which could be a location to a file or a location to a directory. The absolute path will always begin with the root symbol. So it doesn't matter where you are located within the file system hierarchy. When you use the absolute path, it takes you straight to that path. So now we are in the user home directory. So if we want to go to the temp directory, which is within the root directory, so we can just confirm that we're in the user home directory. So we are in /home/KLA. To go to the temp directory, we can do cd space root tmp, and we press enter, and we'll confirm we are in the temp directory, which is in the root directory. So this is an absolute path. So another path in Linux is called a relative path. So if we do ls to display the content of the temp directory, use ls -l, it tells us these are directories. So if we want to go into this directory called VMware root, we can do cd space VMware, and then in Linux you can also use the tab key to complete the command. So if we press tab, it completed the command. Put in -root or 625 and the long number. We type cd and we type this VM-root. This is a relative path. So the relative path is just putting the path that is within your current directory. So it doesn't start with the root symbol. It starts from within your current location. So when we press enter, we are into that directory. Well, it gives us permission denied because we need administrative access. When you are denied the right of entering into a directory, you need to enter it as an admin user. So in subsequent video, we will talk about it. So if we print the working directories, we are in the home directory of the user KLA. The next thing is to do ls to list the content. So to list the content of the downloads directory, there are two ways we can go about it. First way is to do cd space downloads and press enter. And when we have changed directory to the downloads directory, we can do ls to list the content of the downloads directory. And there we see from our previous video when we downloaded and Google Chrome browser. So we still have this set up within the downloads folder. So that's one way. So you change to the directory and then do ls to list the content of the directory. So we'll just we'll just move one level up in the file system hierarchy by using cd space ... and press enter. and we'll do pwd to just confirm that we are in the home directory. So when we do ls, we see the content of the user home directory. Now, instead of changing directory to downloads, we can use the ls command, space, and then we type downloads. So in this case, the download becomes the argument. So we are using the command with the argument. So an argument is simply a file or a folder that the command is to perform some functionality of the command. So in this case, we are using the ls command. So we are saying ls list, and then we are listing the content of this directory downloads. So the ls command without an option or argument will just list the content of the current working directory. But when we say ls space downloads, it's going to list the content of downloads without changing to download, but we can still see the content of download. So in this case, downloads is also a relative path, while is it at the same time is also an argument for this ls command. So we'll press enter, and then we see that the content of download is listed. But if we do pwd, we are still in the user home directory. So you don't have to switch to a directory to list the content. You can just list the content with either using the relative path or the absolute path, or you can change to the directory and then list the content of that directory. So we can also use the tree structure of the syntax of Linux command. So we can do ls -l, and then we type downloads. But we only have one thing in download, so it's just going to list that in a long file format. But again, we look at the first character, it's a hyphen, so we know that this is a file. This was the installation file for Google Chrome. So that's how we can use a command with an argument, with an option -l, and then with the argument, or we saw how we use a command and the argument, and here we just use the command without. So those are a few commands that we can look at for now with Linux. So the next thing is to just go back to the user home directory. So also within Linux, you can just type cd and just press enter without the tilde sign, and it will take you back to the user home directory. So those are two ways. Either cd space the tilde symbol will take you to the user home directory, or just cd and just press enter. It also takes you back to the user home directory. So we would use the ls command to list the content of the user home directory. So we have various directories there. If we want to create a blank file in Linux, we use the command touch space file name. So we say file 01, and we press enter. So when we use ls -l, we can now see that we have the first character here is a hyphen, which means that this is a file and the rest are directory. So that's how you create a blank file. We can also create multiple files with the same command just by putting in the word touch, and we can put file 02 space file 03, and we just put the name of the files, file 04, and when you press enter, it creates all those files automatically for you. And ls -l will tell us that we have the 4 files that we created. So that's how you create a file. So the next thing would be how to create a directory. So to create a directory is mk, which is make, and a dir for directory, space, and you put the name of the directory. So we'll just say directory 01. and we press enter. And when we do ls, we have that directory here, dir error 01. The next command we'll look at is to remove a file. So to remove a file, you type the command rm space and put the name of the file. So file 01 and press enter. And when we do ls -l, we notice that file 01 has been removed or it has been deleted. If we want to remove a directory, we can use the same rm command, but now we have to use it with the d argument. So rm space -d, and then we can put the name of the directory and we press enter. And then we'll do ls -l. We don't have that directory there anymore. The final command for today that we'll look at, which is an important command, because you may be wondering, how did I know that when you use the rm with -d is to remove a directory? Or how did I know that if you use the ls command with -l will do a long list? In order to know those options or to know more about a command, it brings us to a command called man, which is the command for the manual. So every version or every flavor of Linux, I should say, has a built-in manual. And to access that manual is to just type the word man, M-A-N, and then the name of the command. So man space ls. And when you press enter, it gives you the manual for that command. So it tells you the ls command is to list directory content. And then it gives you the synopsis. So you can have the ls command and you can have option, and you could also apply it to a file or directory. And the information in the manual will show you one page at a time. In order to go to the next page is to use the page down button. So if I press page down on my keyboard, it takes me into the next page. If I press page down again, it takes me to the next page. If I press page up, it brings me back up. So I'm going back up, and I'm page down to go down. ls -l, which is small l, because there is an option for capital L minus capital L. But if you use small l, it use a long listing format. So with the ls-l will do a long list of the content of the directory. So that's how you can know these different options that can be used with the command, is to just type man, which is for the manual, and space and put the name of the command. And you can go through and you know the various options that you could use with the command. So it even tells us that when we come up one page, it tells us that small arrow, or you could use small arrow, or you could use reverse. It tells you that it will reverse the order of the sorting. So instead of doing ascending, it will do descending. Then -s will print the allocated size of each file in blocks. So to get out of the manual or to quit the manual is just to press the letter Q, and you will even notice it at the bottom. It tells you press H for help or Q to quit. So if I press the letter Q, it closes the manual for the ls command. So I can also type manual for the rm command and press enter. It tells me that the rm command is used to remove files or directory. And then if you use -f, it will ignore non-existent files and arguments and will never prompt you. If I use a page down to go to the next page, it gives me other information. So prompt before every removal. So if we use rm minus small r, it will prompt us before removal. Just a way to put a security measure so that you don't accidentally delete or remove a file. So it's good to get in the habit of using rm with having r so that it prompts you like, do you want to, or are you sure you want to remove? That way you pause and think, do I really want to do it? And then press Y to confirm or no to discontinue. Those are the few commands that we will look at in this video. In subsequent videos, we will continue to build off of where we stopped today. So the first thing we did was to look at the Linux terminal, and we noticed that there was some information that automatically populated within the terminal when we open it. And we took a breakdown of that. We said that the first word is the username followed by @ and then the next word is the host name or the computer name, and then followed by a codon, which is a separator, and then the tilde sign, which tells us that we were in the user home directory, and then we have a $sign, which told us that the user that is logged in is a standard user. Then to confirm the host name of the computer, we use the command hostname to confirm the host name. And to know who is logged into the computer, we use the command whoami, and that log in with the user KLA. Then take a look at the ls command, which helps to list the content of your current directory. And then we look at the cd command, which is used to change directory. And we spoke a little bit about absolute path, and we said absolute path always begin with the root symbol or the / symbol or the root directory. And then we talk about relative path. And then after relative path, we did look at how you can create a directory and how to create a blend file, and how we can remove a directory or delete a directory, and how we can remove or delete a file. And then we promise everything by looking at the manual. We said to access the manual of a given command is to type man, M-A-N, space, the name of the command, press enter, and will give you information about the command and will tell you other options and that you can use with that command. So with that being said, we'll wrap this video with these few commands. So make sure to practice these commands, and in the next video, we'll just take off from where we left and we'll continue learning more commands. Take care. Bye.